Never bring an open flame to a meeting with the wood nymphs. Shay hurried down the hillside trail, adding yet another item to her ever-growing list of do's and don'ts as the new word witch of Hollywood Lakes. In her defense, she'd been rushing to get to the forest clearing at dawn, as requested. Magical creatures had no respect for human circadian rhythms, but had been unable to find a flashlight. As usual, she'd forgotten to charge her phone, so she'd lit a candle and hastened into the woods. The decision had not gone over well, especially since the only way she'd gotten the Dryad's attention in the first place was by wandering through the forest thumping trees. Apparently, knocking on nymphs was considered rude, and she should have been singing, or more specifically, keening. But it wasn't as if anyone was left to tell her these things. Constance Atwater, Shay's grandmother and the previous word witch of Hollywood Lakes, had passed away before explaining the power and duties that came with their bloodline. And the family grimoire hadn't come with an instruction manual. What little she did know about magic came from her childhood friends, Simone and Poppy. But even though they were witches, their powers were different from Shay's, which left her dependent on trial and error. Mostly error. As near as she could tell, the spell book she'd found in the attic of her grandmother's inn only responded to specific questions asked in the right way at the appropriate time. In the absence of the correct question, it remained closed and frustratingly unhelpful. For instance, Shay was supposed to meet with the supernatural creatures of Hollywood Lakes, making treaties and arrangements to keep the town's magic flowing. But she had no idea how to make those meetings happen. Asking what a tree nymph looked like had borne no fruit, and when she'd asked how to contact them, the grimoire had provided only a page of sheet music. Unfortunately, Shay couldn't even play Mary Had a Little Lamb on a xylophone. For all her gifts of translation, a hallmark of being the word witch was the ability to read the family spellbook, that talent didn't include sight singing. Thankfully, the entry had also contained a sketch of a stunning ash tree with the hint of a face in its bark, so she'd gone out knocking, hoping to introduce herself. As with the open flame, the Dryads had taken it as a great affront. Shay crested the final hill, and her newly inherited dark blue 3-story home with white shutters came into view. She wiped the sweat from her brow. Treks through the mountains weren't as easy at 44 as they'd been when she'd spent summers in Hollywood Lakes as a child with energy to burn. She squinted up at the sun. The dawn meeting had gone well into mid-morning by the time she'd soothed the ruffled branches. What do they expect? I'm word-witching without a net. On the plus side, despite her missteps, she'd managed to make a deal with the Dryads. Shay would attend town council meetings to ensure responsible land stewardship and prevent clear-cutting of the forest. In exchange, the wood nymphs would strengthen the protection spells cast by local witches.